All right, in lieu of all the protests, sir, we're hearing talk about defunding police, police reform. You're part of a group of Senate Republicans who are drawing up a plan for reform. Can you tell us some of those changes that might be in that?
Yeah, I'm glad to be able to talk that through. We are certainly not trying to defund police or to try to destabilize what's happening in law enforcement around the country. That's a very strange movement to me. We absolutely need great law enforcement officers of all ethnicities, all backgrounds, to be able to serve and protect. And they are a vital part of our community, and we're very, very grateful for them. But we are trying to help identify good actors and bad actors in the police department. Every officer I've talked to ever, actually, but a lot in the last couple of weeks have said, yeah, we know there's some bad apples that are in the mix here, and we're trying to be able to figure this out. So we're trying to be able to work through some basic things, increasing the use of body cameras by increasing some of the grants for the purchase of those, making sure they're actually turned on, either through technology, that they're automatically turned on, or that they don't have mysterious failures they don't turn on during the right time. Trying to be able to increase the paperwork retention. So if an officer leaves one department and heads to another one, that the next department can get access to all the previous files of the previous department, so they can make a decision and don't have a person that's moving from place to place to place that's a bad actor. Increasing transparency if someone dies in police custody, to be able to get all that information and gathered it in nationwide, so we can get a feel for trends that are happening. About 40% of the departments right now already turn that in. But we'd like to be able to make that more complete. And then dealing with some basic things like chokeholds. It's not allowed in Oklahoma, but there are departments around the country that still allow that. Now, those have been local decisions in the past. We want to incentivize to be able to make sure that we're doing as much non-lethal as we possibly can to be able to help protect people and lives. So there are some basic things that we feel like we can do to be able to help in this process. But ultimately, dealing with race and race relations is a heart issue, is a family issue. It's not something you can legislate. It's something we can protect the community from. But each person has to be able to make their own decisions on what they're going to do on race. And we encourage people to be able to engage with their friends and neighbors.
All right, so that's kind of the Senate Republican side. What about the Democrats, and what are they saying? And is it a lot different? And have you had discussions with them trying to come to some agreement?
Sure, there'll be a Democratic plan. There'll be a Republican plan. They'll both come up. Then we'll get a chance to be able to walk through the process of what can be merged. There'll be areas that we have very similar proposals on some of it. Some of the transparency areas, body cameras, we don't have differences of opinion. We do have differences of opinion on things like qualified immunity. I don't want any law enforcement officer in the second that they have to make a split-second decision to have to worry about that, because if a police officer has to hesitate, it puts their life at risk on this one, because they make life or death decisions all day, every day. We want them to be able to come home back to their families as well. And so there are some differences that we're going to have. Clearly, as Republicans, we're not trying to defund the police. That's a very different approach than what we're trying to do. And so we're trying to provide additional help and additional transparency in the process.
A week from today, Senator, President Trump is going to be in Tulsa with a rally. There's critics of the president who say that he's coming on Juneteenth. Perhaps that's not the day, and especially near the anniversary or just after the anniversary of the Tulsa race massacre. What are your thoughts on his arrival and happening at that particular time?
What I would say is any president of the United States is welcome in Oklahoma at any time. As I spoke out often on welcoming President Obama when he came, I would welcome President Trump when he's coming as well. Every president's welcome in Oklahoma. It's been interesting to me, the pushback on the Juneteenth time period. Juneteenth is a recognition of emancipation of the slaves nationwide that was done by the first Republican president. So for the party of Lincoln, to be able to also celebrate what's happening in Juneteenth is exceptionally appropriate as well. And so this is not some kind of challenge on a racist thing. And I don't think the president in his campaign is trying to do some sort of division in the country. Quite frankly, I think it was an open date, and he wanted to be able to come to a state that already had a low COVID-19 number. And so he's coming to Oklahoma. We're glad that he's coming. But the party of Lincoln, the first Republican that did the emancipation of the slaves, is right to be able to stand up and say, these are still the values that Republicans hold for equal opportunity, equal access to the justice under the law for every single person. And so that's actually a good day for us to be able to celebrate together. And as far as dealing with the Tulsa race massacre, I've been very engaged in the commission on that. very aware of what's happened just 99 years ago now, just a couple of weeks ago, approaching our 100th anniversary of that horrible event. But we also have a park right in the middle of that area called Reconciliation Park. And if there's anything that we can do as a nation to bring us to reconciliation, I would hope that this would be a step in the right direction.
Okay. Whether it's politically charged or not in terms of the president coming to Tulsa, but being in such a confined space like the BOK, should folks be concerned because of the COVID-19, or do you think that the steps will be taken to make sure that everybody will be okay?
I think there will be some steps that will be taken, but I think it is also everyone's responsibility to be able to take care of their own health. As individuals that went out to protest had a responsibility to take care of their own health, and if you're a high-risk individual, I would discourage you from protesting, though that is your choice to be able to do. But if you're a high-risk individual, that may not be the wisest decision for you right now. It would be the same thing in coming out to a Trump political rally as well. If you're a high-risk individual, you might want to just be able to watch on TV. For other individuals to be able to come out and be a part of it. Our numbers are what they are in the state. They're lower than many other areas of the country, significantly lower, but there's still COVID-19 that is still present in Oklahoma. And so people should be wise to be able to take care of their own health as well.
And speaking of our health and COVID-19, sir, I know at Texas, they're seeing a very steep rise in coronavirus, and some other states are as well. Do you think that's because we reopened too quickly, or do you think there's other factors involved?
Kind of depends state to state. Texas, for instance, has dramatically increased their testing again. And so they're testing a lot more. And so they're finding a lot more in that. In fact, they haven't found more based on the percentage of what they're actually testing. So they're finding more quantity, but the percentage positive has gone down in Texas. So that's just going to depend on place to place. We need to continue to test. People need to continue to be able to pay attention to this. And we'll continue to be able to track it each individually. But as a community, it's still the basic things: washing your hands, keeping good, safe social distancing, making sure you're staying away from other folks if you feel sick at all. So that's just the basics we're going to have to keep doing for a very long time until we can get a vaccine and to be able to get this knocked out.
All right, last question, Senator. I know that you're getting ready to head home for a little R&R. Now, let's just suppose that Senator McConnell calls you and you're home hanging out with the family, you're relaxing. Do you say, Mitch, I just can't talk to you right now, or?
I'll take the call, but it is nice to be able to get home this weekend, and I'll try to get a little bit of mental gap for just a moment before I'm back in D.C. on Monday again.
All right. Senator Lankford, as always, sir, thank you so very much for your time, and hope you continue to stay safe, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.